Thank you everyone for joining in today. I'm excited to be here. I want to start by sharing early last year, Ceipal teamed up with TechServe Alliance and created the IT and Engineering Staffing Index. So that included around 160 companies and 19,000 job placements. So basically, the way it worked is companies were working with TechServe Alliance and giving them real detailed data about their key performances and indicators, key performance indicators, consultant billing, new job orders, starts, stops, and so on, and got in detail the financial data. And on top of that, we also included questions that measure the importance and adoption by these companies of 8 key technologies. What we got then was an anonymized survey, so we didn't know which company did what, but we could directly correlate the performance and KPIs with the choices of technology and investments they make. And what was really interesting is we found that there was direct correlation between the technology investments they make and the performance at that time. We were somewhat fortunate that when we started tracking this index, it was right before the COVID pandemic. And then we were able to see month by month to reflect how the industry basically got affected when the pandemic hit. And we were able to watch the rebound. So it was a perfect correlation, if you see the blue curve, of how on an average the industries performed. But what's surprising is if you look at just the companies that invested in artificial intelligence and in certain technologies, they significantly outperform the average, and that is what you see. The tech pioneers are the orange one. They did way better. The early adopters of AI did better. And that was one of the first surveys that provided a direct correlation and specifics of how that helped. And so the question now is, what did they do? How did it happen? And there are multiple things. My focus right now is to shed some light on what those companies did during the talent acquisition and curation. How did they fill their pipeline? And that's really important right now, guys, because you know how scarce it is down, today. Your ability to fill your pipeline with qualified talent is probably the #1 problem that you have. So let me focus on 3 specific applications now. So those are resume harvesting, passive candidate sourcing, and DEI tool. We actually have 2 presentations on AI. My part is to talk about how AI helped companies with identifying talent. There's another presentation that talks about matching and ranking and so on. But right now, I'm going to focus exclusively on what AI and those companies did to find the right talent. In fact, there are 3 distinct ways they leverage AI to help them fill their pipeline. We call this pipeline talent container, but essentially it's your talent pipeline. Now, you guys probably heard a lot about resume harvesting from data. In fact, there are companies that build their whole thing about resume harvesting, but by now you've probably figured out that it's really a waste of a lot of money, because if you download resumes, you're paying for every resume, and most of them don't use, and that's just not ideal. There's nothing wrong in harvesting and getting it, of course, but you've got to do it the smarter way. What if you let AI help you rather than downloading massive databases? How about you train your AI to download only resumes with credits you otherwise would have lost? You basically subscribe to a certain amount of credits and you lose them. What if you can actually go and download only the ones you are about to lose? And that's free. In fact, you're actually maximizing what you spend without any extra cost. Well, you know what? AI can do that, and AI can do even better. How about you're looking for a particular skill set or a particular kind of candidate? Train your AI to download only using excess credit and only at a particular time. That's even better. AI can do that, and that's very simple way to fill your database. And by the way, this thing exists. So make sure when you ask whether you ask whether your ATS can do that. And there are ATSs out there that do it. So that's one way. Let's move on to my favorite way, which is the passive candidate search. What is your biggest challenge now, guys? I'm willing to bet it's finding qualified talents, isn't it? Given that everybody talks in this regards, finding the right candidate is hard. Things are getting more and more specialized, and somewhat it's hard. And guess what? For many, your standard database may not be good enough. So what do you do then? What you can do is you can actually get AI to help you go find that needle in the haystack. And in fact, AI, there are free computing cycles, and you can go and search and search and search and analyze and get the kind of candidate you need. Let's talk about how passive candidate search works. It goes outside of the database and can look at millions of data points that are out there. And you would be surprised at how much information is there about you and about everyone. Let's give an example. A lot of developers use GitHub to check in their software. So their databases, so that's a database our AI has access to. There's a lot of information from GitHub and comments and other things that people can get. There are many other places and public databases that have information about a candidate and about their work, their actions and their interactions. And so there's literally millions of data forms that AI can go and pretty much instantly get. That's a humongous amount of information. And obviously, if you have good enough time, to devote to yourself, you can probably go and do it, but it'll take you probably months to get there. But with AI, it can happen in seconds. So it gets all this information, then you go, and then you got AI to start correlating and making sense. Which one works, which doesn't. And you can build your own profile of yourself and of the candidates. So what you can do is you can identify candidates that truly meet your need, that are out there based on what's there. And in fact, let me show you. So this is a cultural report. The report is really detailed and it does it instantly. It identifies the candidate and generates a report, which is like a psychological report. What is this person like? What kind of environment they like to work in? It actually generates a whole detailed report. So what you can do is you can have AI to search and fill your candidate database over there. And the other thing you might ask is, what's the benefit? The benefit, of course, is to identify candidates that are really important. There is another interesting way. Maybe you think you already have a lot of candidates in your database. The passive candidate search that's using AI to compare what's out there may still be useful for you to run it on a select sample, because you can compare the ones that you found to the ones you have internally yourself. Compare if the ones you have on your database are just as good or better. Then you're in great shape. But what happens if you find out that the ones AI found are sourced, the AI sourced from outside are way stronger than what you have? You should think about your database. Maybe it's not good. So I'm going to give you a very specific example, which is pretty hot right now in the US. So many large corporations are under a lot of pressure to show some actual proof of how things are moving towards implementing their diversity, equity, and inclusion objections. And AI can really help. I talked about passive candidate search and harvesting. Imagine now if I can train my AI to go and look for the specific type of candidate. It doesn't have to be just skill set. It could be a skill set and a particular background, and so on. We firmly believe that there are strong candidates of every ethnicity and background out there. They may be hard to find, but they are there. So what if you can go and leverage AI to go and find them for you? An algorithm can do is it can actually go and assess your candidate pool based on gender, ethnicity, and so on. You can train your AI to look not only at a specific skill set, you can also train it to look for a skill set and a specific background, whether it's your gender distribution or ethnicity background. AI can actually go and assess your pool anonymously at a pool level. And then you can train it to go and identify good candidates to fill your database for something that you're missing. As we spoke about passive candidate sourcing, let me go ahead and show you how it works in our applicant tracking system. Let me go ahead and share with you my screen right now. As you can see, this is the Ceipal applicant tracking system's dashboard. Now, as soon as you receive a job requirement from your client, you create a job, and the job is available on the job posting module. Let's go there and check it out. Now let's search for the job that you're looking for. Here, We see that this position is for a BI developer. Let's go ahead and click on it. So what passive candidate sourcing does is it lets you search candidates who are not actively looking for a job from the web beyond your paid job boards. And as you can see right now, just give me a second. Yeah. So here's the job description. As you can see, all the skill set and the JD is mentioned right here. The skill set and the keywords are mentioned. All you have to do is click on this button right here that says passive applicants, and the system would search for with the job description against all the resumes that are out there, all the people who are actually not looking for a job. These are people who are not looking for a job on the web. These are passive candidates. And this is how you get results. Now, there is a lot of information over here that you can go through. There are phone numbers, there are skill sets, there are keywords and you can go ahead and select exactly the one that you want. Over here, we have all of these. And searching for them does not cost you any credits. Also, a resume is created by the applicant tracking system. This resume has not been uploaded by the candidate because this is a passive candidate. And also a 2-page cultural report that I previously spoke to you about. Once you click on the unlock button, it would change to green. As soon as it changes green, this applicant would always be available under the applicants module. You can also re-verify this person by clicking on LinkedIn icon over here. In case if you don't like these results, you can go ahead and narrow your search by using these filters on the left-hand side. So you have country, you have state and city. The title and skill set has already been populated. Also, you can use this option right here that says show only profiles having contacts so that you get only the profile that have contacts so that you can go ahead and contact them. And this is how passive candidate sourcing works within the applicant tracking system, within Ceipal's applicant tracking system. Thank you so much for joining me today. Bye-bye.